like big orb, like if it makes sense, like, but they started moving in a like in a certain pattern. Like what if their coordinates to like, okay, in case something happens to us, you could send more, you know.
What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Midnight Safe Room podcast, where you feel safe and no topic has no limits. So, today we're going to be talking about aliens, extraterrestrials, marcianos, whatever you want to call them. Growing up, I mean, it's always kind of been that same belief, or at least how I was growing up, or we were growing up, when we would see in the movies how it was that humanoid type of looking figure that was either all white, green, big black guys that were shiny, and either they would come out of like that UFO thing or kind of like that. But even then, sometimes now as growing up, we kind of changed our way of thinking or like our perspective on those, if you believe. Because then, like, well, even then it wasn't that new. But when you think about aliens, you think about aliens versus predator. So it's like it kind of makes you think about it like in that way, like are extraterrestrials or aliens or whatever they might be, are they depicted in that way? Are there multiple? Just like how there's different life forms. But what would you think about that, dude?
So first of all, are we alone in this universe or are we not? Yeah, no, we all think about that, like I think about it all the time. But I do know that we're not alone, and I do know there's, other life forms out there. And yeah, this topic I wanted to touch on is the McPherson tapes. I know we watched this movie when we were little, right? It's a found footage type of tape. So it starts off as the family just, having Thanksgiving dinner, hanging out, chilling, they're talking, they're about to eat. It's a big family actually. It's three brothers, a sister, and a mother. So they're about to have Thanksgiving dinner, and then next, boom, the lights go off, and they start to freak out. Well, they're not freaking out, but they're just like wondering why the lights go off. They go outside to check, the three brothers. Um, they look at the fuse box, and the fuse box is smoking. So they try to question it, like, well, what's going on? One of the brothers tries to open the fuse box, and he actually burns his hand. And then the other one tells him this how you open a fuse box. So he opens a fuse box, and it's burning. And then they're like, "Well, what did that?" And they're like, "Well, it was lightning." And they're like, "Lightning," because it wasn't raining or anything like that. Like it was already dark, yes, but it wasn't raining or anything of that sort. The next thing you know, they hear another um like explosion go off. When the explosion goes off, they go and they investigate. And what they see is actually one of the transformers. Like it's going off, like it's popping. It's having like a, I guess like a short circuit type of thing, and it looks like it was actually like the same thing, like kind of like hit by something, by lightning. They're saying. Um, then they start walking, and in the distance, they see something that looks like a spaceship. It actually is a spaceship, and they see these three little figures that are out there. And when they zoom in, it's actually aliens. So they start to freak out, and the alien actually points the laser at him and shoots one of the brothers in the hand. They freak out, they run back into the house, and that's when they start telling their family about what they saw. Obviously, the family doesn't believe them because they're like, ha ha ha, you guys are playing a joke on us. And they're like, no, it's for real. And they're like, they actually did attack us. They look at his hand and they don't believe them. They're like, okay, can we sit down and have Thanksgiving dinner?
Isn't it crazy though how like when you said about the laser thing, even then growing up, we always used to see in the cartoons how the aliens had either like a laser gun or something like that, or even that one guy from what was it, like from Looney Tunes, what was it, from Marvin the Martian? You know how he had all that stuff. It made you wonder how exactly we knew or how close we were. Like, how did we know how they looked? Like, how did they already know? I mean, obviously, with seeing things or being able to collect, but as you were saying, what were you saying? My bad.
Oh, no, you're good, dude. So yeah, they start questioning them, like, are you guys joking around? Like, what is this all about? And let's just sit down and have our Thanksgiving dinner. So they start freaking out, and then they actually showed them the video because they recorded it on the camera. The younger brother, he's actually going around recording with the camera, so he shows them the footage and then they start to freak out. And that's when everything starts to go downhill. They try to, try to escape. They try to make their way out, but they're stuck in the house. Then they go, they check the truck to try to get out of out of the whole situation. But long and behold, they open the trunk. Well, not the trunk, but the front of the truck, and they notice that the batteries melted as well. So now they don't have any way to get out. So their next thing to do is go and get the extra battery from the tractor. So that's their next, mission to do that, to go and get the battery from the tractor. They go back inside. They start freaking out even more because now they know that they only have like a possibility to get out. If the battery doesn't work, what are they gonna do next? Then after that, I remember there's a part in the movie where their ears start ringing like crazy, and then they all in pain. They fall to the ground, and then things start popping in the house. And there was a little girl actually. She's the daughter of one of the oldest brother. And throughout the whole thing, she's like calm. She's telling them that it's gonna be fine, that it's gonna be okay. So out of all of them, the little sister is the only one that's not. I mean, the little daughter is the only one that's not freaking out. So it turns out that she's actually in a trance. So it's like it makes you wonder, like, do you think, with aliens, taking over or like mesmerizing, do you think that they just, take over like children's minds because they're like more innocent?
That's what I was gonna say, and it was gonna be different. My take was gonna be, do you think like the aliens built a relation? I didn't think that they would have met. I didn't. Well, now that I think about it, I didn't think about it like that, as in that they mesmerized her, like controlled her brain. I thought that maybe since she was a child, they were able to create some type of connection with her due to her innocence, and maybe like since the adults obviously have seen more things and are kind of way more irrational in a way, maybe that's why they kind of did it in the forceful way, as far as like them not using the little girl like that. But then now that I think about it, they told me, yeah, maybe they did mesmerize her because in a way she was, I guess you could say, not the weakest, but the youngest, is in a way where she was the most feeble minded, I guess, compared to the rest of them that have seen things, like I said, and are older. But yeah, I mean, I think it could be either or, but that's kind of my take on that.
Yeah, like I said, they definitely did hypnotize her. Just because of the way that she was acting, like I would assume she was freaking out, and even when their ears started ringing, nothing happened to her. She was fine.
But do you think that, with that being said, do you think she might have had some type of powers, and that's why does that ever come to your mind? Maybe she had some type of powers or a gift, or maybe she was an alien and then, she was disguised as a human, or did that ever come to your mind or not? Like, just a little side quick question.
I was actually thinking about maybe they had already made contact with her prior, but then again, you never know because obviously that's the daughter of the older brother, and I don't think she lived with them. I think they came to visit for Thanksgiving. That's what I was thinking also, because I'm like, maybe they came and they visited and they got her first. But then if you really think about it, it doesn't make sense because, like I said, they came to visit.
Yeah, no, yeah, I get you. All right, then, yeah, I guess all right, go ahead then.
And then obviously they're stuck there, so they don't know what to do. And then there's a point in the movie where the older brother, the middle brother, and the sister's boyfriend end up leaving. So they get their guns ready, they leave, they tell the younger brother, take care of the girls. They stay. And the wife actually ends up, I think, falling like ill. Like she gets really sick or something like that because she's on the couch. And I think she actually no, she does end up passing away. So when they leave, and then it's only, from what I remember, it's the younger brother, the mom, the little sister, and the daughter. And the daughter, like I said, she keeps telling them like it's gonna be fine, don't worry about it. So for sure there was something with her. And then what's it called? Then like there's this scene towards the end where the brother's freaking out, because he really doesn't know what to do. He's just in the house, he's freaking out. He goes into his room, and all you can see is like this figure come out, and it's an alien, and like he freezes. And I guess from what you could see, that's the end of them. So, because I do know that it was released in 1989, and supposedly the government released the movie or the file because they had been done with it, and they labeled it Project Blue Book from what I remember. So I mean, you could only imagine you're like in a remote place and this starts happening. Like how would you feel? Like imagine aliens start attacking you, and your family, and you don't know what to do, or you don't know how to handle the situation. Like what would you do in that situation?
Man, honestly, that's such a difficult question because I mean, how are you going to combat with something that you don't even know what they possess? In the sense where in the movie they had that laser gun or whatever it was. I mean, think about it. How are you really going to be able to combat them with even if you have a firearm, will it affect them? Or even then, just thinking about the fact that do they possess any type of abilities, like either telekinesis, like kind of like those typical things where we kind of were shown or portrayed in like movies or shows or even things like that. But man, I think that's like such a suspenseful and terrifying experience if that were to be a thing, because man, I could just imagine you just seeing them, like regardless of how they look or not, like who knows if they, like I said, we don't really know how if they look like that or not, or like I said, they have a completely type of depiction. Is there good ones? Is there bad ones?
Yeah, now actually that you mentioned it about the weapons to combat them, I remember I told you that they had guns. I think they had like a total of two or three shotguns, and there's actually a part in the movie where they shoot one. So he's inside the room and they shoot him. So he's inside the room and he starts beaming his laser through the door, and then they shoot him with the shotgun, and they actually did kill him because they opened the door and he's on the ground. But then when they go down the stairs, they hear like movement on top on the ceiling again, and then I think the body's gone. So they did kill one of them, and I'm pretty sure his comrades or whatever they are, they took his body. So maybe that's why they got even more upset that they had actually killed one of them. So maybe that's why they made sure that they were gonna take out the whole family. So that's what I was thinking. I mean, yeah, as far as combating them, like I'm pretty sure you could fend off, you could fight them off, or maybe to like a certain degree, because like obviously their technology and weaponry is way advanced than us. Like I said, there's no way we're here by ourselves. Like, come on, all these planets, the galaxy, like it's like no, we're not alone, dude.
Because there was that other movie too. Now I can't remember the name, but where there's I don't remember the name, but that scene where I think the guy, the girl stick the knife under the door because I think yeah, I don't know. I don't remember the name of the movie, but it's like they stick the knife under the door to see, and they see the reflection, and they pull it back, like, oh,
It's I think it's Signs,
oh yeah, 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 science,
Signs, the
science,
Mel Gibson.
yeah, science, science. So yeah, that one. See, so imagine like the difference like that if you were same kind of concept in a way. But dude, imagine that being in both of those situations to me would be, I don't know, man, like fight or flight. Like to me, I don't know. I think I would be forever traumatized with that, but I don't think I would, like I said, wish that upon anybody.
Speaking of that movie Signs, do you remember how it went or how it goes? I mean, I do remember that in the end they combat them with water because it actually they accidentally like spill water on one of the aliens, like they hit him with the bat, and then they notice like, oh man, like it like actually like weakens them, it affects them, like you could use it as a weapon.
Nah, dude, I forgot. Like honestly, I blame Scary Movie for for like messing those movies up for me. I can't even take them serious now. But nah, I don't remember that. But it kind of makes you wonder, right? Like even then, like it kind of, like I said, opens up your mind again of the fact of them being different kind, or if that's just how they are. Like, what if they have all that crazy technology and all that stuff, but they're so weak and fragile? Like, you just throw water on them or something, and then boom, they're done. Or like you said, he shot them, and in that movie it shows them, being killed. Or who knows? For all you know, you're like, oh, I'm gonna pretend to die, and then whoop, just like kind of disappear. I mean, it kind of makes your brain wonder, no?
Yeah, no, it does. Because like I said, you never know what it is that you could use against them or to fight them off or to fend them off, you know, because like I said, their technology is way more advanced than ours. And to think something as simple as water, I mean, you never know, you know, it could be like it could be just because maybe their water could affect us too, you know, and then it could potentially kill us. But I do remember a few from the movie, not a lot. I do remember that they find like like different it's like circle crops, like you know the that's why it's called science because you could see like the designs or whatever that they made on the crops, you know. And then I do know that obviously I think he was a pastor. Now was he a pastor?
I think he was. I believe so. And speaking of of like the crop circles and everything, I never really got too like much into that or like knew much. But do you think that they just did that as a sign to leave a mark to be like I'm here, or you think as a sign of like a threatening or like kind of being like a mark as like hey this is mine of ownership, or I don't know. What did you ever kind of like think about that?
Now thinking about it, right now that you were telling me, what if they're coordinates? Like, what if they're coordinates to like, okay, in case something happens to us, you could send more, you know, more like backup or something.
Or it could be like, man, we found the spot where we can probably potentially hide and do stuff. Or maybe we, be like, oh, we found a spot where I feel like it's pretty secluded, maybe we'll chill around here. I mean, or like you said, coordinates to be like if something goes wrong, or maybe they're on a mission and maybe that's their way of marking it that they've been there, or who knows, dude. It's crazy. It's like a never ending thing.
Yeah, no, definitely. Like I said, I think it could be possible coordinates, you know, just so that they could, you know, if something else happens, they know where to go. But yeah, no, that was definitely an interesting movie, and even him being a pastor, you know, like it did question his beliefs, like it questioned everything, you know, because think about it, being a man of God, and then you don't know why this is happening. Like you pray, and nothing's, you know, nothing's helping him or nothing is changing, and he's like breaking down as a person because it's his daughter and his brother, from what I remember. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think so. I think it is, yeah. And it is crazy how you say that because he uses his power of faith and it got to the point where he was so stressed or kind of like done with it because it just wasn't helping that he kind of just felt lost and like what are we gonna do? And it just what makes you think like what exactly can we do to fend them off or to defend ourselves?
Yeah, dude. Yeah. I do remember his daughter. Yeah, the little daughter, because if you remember towards the end of the movie, there's a part where the alien actually has a little girl and he's holding her, but she has asthma or something like that, remember? And he's trying to like put like I think some sort of like poisonous gas like near her nose. But since she has asthma, I think her airwaves closed. So that's when they realize that you know, that the water affects him. Because I think the brother hits him with the bat. So he hits him with the bat and he drops the daughter. And I think after that, that's when they realize like, oh, you know, the water actually affects them, and they end up killing him. So then that's when they grab the little girl. And if I'm not mistaken, they take her outside, and he's like, hopefully she didn't breathe it in, you know, hopefully she didn't breathe it in. And then she wakes up, so she actually didn't intake or she didn't inhale like the poison, you know. And it like makes you wonder like all this weaponry, like all this advanced stuff that they had, you know, like what could we do against that? Like that's pretty crazy, you know. And it's just like even then, like in the first movie, like that we were talking about, you know, the McPhersons, like it was lasers that they were using, but who knows if it was like an actual laser beam or a laser coming from their finger, you know, because in science it pretty much depicted that, you know, obviously they were strong and they had, you know, they like I said, they had strength, but they also had that little gas that would come out from their hands, you know. So it makes you wonder.
Yeah, I mean even then, going off that, as dumb as this may sound, just talking about like aliens, like it makes like I said think about good or bad. Like even just watching, like yeah, you could say it's a movie. what I want to say now is just because like a cartoon. But like I remember like Futurama or like that show how it would kind of portray the aliens and how it would show there was good and bad ones or and it kind of made me think like man if the movies were like that, I mean why can't the cartoons be like that. So, and it kind of made you think because of all that futuristic stuff of how they would show it, like with their spaceships and their planets and all that, and how, like I said, how there was good and bad ones and all their technology and stuff. But I don't know, it's kind of like a topic where it can, I feel like, go on forever and ever because like I said, it makes you really wonder a lot of things, especially now that in the news or they've been taking out a lot of or they've been releasing a lot of UFO files and stuff like that of UFOs and things of that nature. So since we were talking about like that about aliens too, right, dude? As far as like do you remember when we were kids and I think it was probably I don't man, I believe maybe I was like what 8 or maybe younger. I don't remember, but it was like a summer night, it was pretty dark, and we were all playing outside, and when we looked in the sky, there was, like, a bunch of lights, and I remember that dad came outside with one of those super old video cameras, and he even recorded it. I mean, man, it would be cool if we were able to find that footage, but, man, who knows? But I remember, yeah, like the whole block was out and then we were kind of checking it out. And the irony was like me and you made the joke that day of and be like, man, watch them say it's something else or right away be like, nah, don't worry about this. Like, no, it's gonna be this and that. And literally like in a matter of like I don't know how long they say, oh yeah, no, it was just balloons with candles and it's like, well, why would that be done? Like why all of a sudden? Like why today? And then like they really had no explanation on that. But do you remember about that day, dude, or like is it kind of like a blur to you?
No, I do remember. It was like I think we were outside in the front. It was in the front, and I don't know who brought it to our attention, but we looked up in the sky, and there was like
Yeah, it was some I forgot the kid's name, but yeah, it was a little kid when he started saying like, "Oh, las luces," which means the lights in the sky, and that's when like my dad was there and he started like he ran inside to get the camera. But yeah, you were saying my bad.
no, you're good, dude. Yeah, they I think the little kid did tell us, and we saw they would look like big orbs, like if it makes sense, like but they started moving in a like in a certain pattern. Remember, they started moving like in a certain pattern.
Yeah, that's why I was saying that it can be that because if it was, I feel like the air balloons or balloons, whatever they said it was, the air, like the movement, they wouldn't all be, I guess, in unison or in some way. But I remember they were kind of like in a unison, and then they would go in a certain direction where it looked like they were making a formation of something. Which I was like, man, that's a little too weird for that.
Yeah, no, definitely. Like I said, I do believe it was something that was out there, like a higher like a being, because like I said, the way that they was moving, it was just like different, like something that we never seen. And it couldn't be like those little I don't know what they're called, the thing that they put a candle in and it floats up because they would just fly up, and these things were moving like in a pattern.
Yeah, like and you feel like it would go upright instead of left and right, and even then you feel with how it was or I guess the force of the wind, you feel like it would be kind of moving it all over the place. But yeah, those were kind of in a formation where and even then they were pretty freaking bright for that to be like a candle or a light or something like all the way up there. It was pretty far, and like that shit, that thing looked pretty bright to be honest from all the way where we were.
And speaking of UFOs and all that, I don't know if they call them UFOs anymore or UAPs, I'm not sure. And there was actually this other movie. I don't know if you remember it or if you've seen it. It's called Fire in the Sky, where there's this guy, I think his name is I think Travis Walton. And I think it's him and five of his friends, and they're actually like I think in a remote area, and they see a UFO, and then from what I remember, he gets out of his truck. Well, they're there and they're freaking out because obviously they look and there's a UFO. And then he actually gets out of the truck and he tries to get a closer look and he gets abducted. And they do all these crazy experiments on him. That's a really good movie as well. Like there's this point in the movie where the aliens have him, they like take out all his clothes. They take off his clothes, and I think they put like stuff down his throat, like machinery, and then they put like this weird like film that goes around him. Oh yeah, I do. Yeah, they put like liquid in his mouth, and then they put this like hose that goes down his throat, and then they put him in front of this machine with a needle, and all you can see is like the needle about to go into his eye, and it like cuts off. And then I think later on they like drop him off, and then I think they take him to the hospital or something like that. But he starts having like flashbacks and all that about what happened.
Nah, dude. Honestly, I do not remember that movie at all. And that, man, I don't know. Not even that because I didn't like it or anything. I just don't remember it at all.
Yeah, no, that's a good movie, guys. So I'm pretty sure it's called Fire in the Sky. So if you guys do have time, check that one out definitely. I don't remember specifically like what happens, but I do remember he gets abducted, and I do remember he goes through a lot of things just because of his experiences. Like imagine if you get abducted by aliens and they do all these crazy experiments on you, like not just like the physical pain or the physical, you know, um like the anguish, and then just not that, like the mental thing that's gonna happen to you, you know?
Yeah, yeah. Honestly, I think you're right. Like I said, I feel like we've been kind of talking about all the bad or the negative ones. But even like I said, as funny as this may sound, we're talking about movies, but like E.T. You know, E.T. He came and he made a relationship with that kid. You know, and it's like how I told you, kind of makes me wonder, what if the humanoids, or aliens, whatever they want to call them, um, talk to the kids because obviously of how innocent they are, and that's why they, I guess, build a connection with them, whether it be good or bad. Like I said, opposed to seeing trying to connect with the other people, because like I said, I feel like adults or just older people in general have been through so many things that it's different. Like I feel like, for example, if we were to show if an alien were to pop out on a kid that's like maybe 5 or 6 years old and they don't know anything, they won't be scared. But if we see one, what are we gonna think right away? Oh my god! Like right away, try to like attack it or do something when for all we know, we don't know if it's trying to just talk to us or make its presence known or not even harm us. But with that being said, kind of like going about the ET thing, I mean, that'd be pretty crazy. And like, if we were able to have like a little alien with you and he was just, like doing his thing like that, honestly, it kind of makes you wonder, like, if you had an encounter with one, what would be your first reaction? Would you approach it in a way where, okay, I'm gonna attack you, or right away just have that mentality like, okay, fight mode? Or would you be more on that open minded and be like, "Oh, I come in peace," and try to make contact with the alien? Like because you never know. It's just like kind of like never judge a book by its cover. But I mean, I would understand where someone would be scared. Like imagine if you see like a 9 foot, alien all gray, or even how they say that sometimes they're insects or whatever. And you're like, oh,
Nah, well, I mean, you know me, dude. I'm always on fight mode, knife flight, but which is bad actually. So I would definitely, I guess, see how he would approach me, because he approaches me and tries to attack me like we're throwing hands, but I mean, I don't know if they know how to fight, because from what I seen, they look pretty fragile. But obviously, they're gonna have their own defense mechanisms and all that. But I mean, it would be cool to have like an alien friend. I'm not gonna say they're all bad. I mean, it's like people. There's good and bad people.
yeah, because obviously you see how ET made a relationship with the kid, and then all he really wanted was to go home. And it makes you wonder, like, if a child and an extraterrestrial can build a relationship, or even if it's just a movie, in the end of the day, like, why can't like individuals, like human to human? But like I said, it's kind of like a question where it makes you wonder, how are they all bad? Are they all good? Or is it a mixture of both? Are they just, what exactly is their mission or their purpose? Because they could look at us the same way, like, oh, what the heck are these? What the heck are these things? Or look at it, for all they're watching us right now, or somehow in, I don't know, like it even goes back to other shows or TV shows or movies where You would see the individual look exactly like a person, and they walk inside, and either they take the suit off or they just like more like kind of not more, but like I guess transform back into their actual alien form. So it kind of makes you think like, damn, are aliens like that advanced, or like there's aliens like that, you know?
Yeah, no, definitely. Like I stated earlier, there's definitely life out there, and then going going back to I what fire in the sky. Now that I remember, is that they did find the guy. They actually dumped him in near a gas station, and that's where they found him. I don't remember the exact year, but I think it was in Arizona where they had dumped where it all happened. I mean, I believe for a reason they made the movie because think about it this way. I'm pretty sure that that has happened to people. There's instances where people do say that they recall being abducted, but they don't remember anything. Like they're just dropped off, and to them, I think they just think that they've been gone for like a week or a few days, and they've actually been gone for months.
Yeah, and then even then, how we were talking about UFOs or UAPs. Do you know how over there where our parents are from in Puebla, and there's like a volcano? A lot of times there would be videos. I mean, if you guys look them up on the internet, you could see them. Just type in the Popocatépetl volcano, and I think there's been documentaries or there's some videos where they have seen where UFOs go in there, and it's crazy because it's a volcano, and obviously it erupts, and it's lava and all that. So, but they be going in there, and then they be stating where they see them come out of there from the us aircraft or whatever it may be.
Dude, now that you mention that, I remember seeing that, and not just that, but they actually go underwater. So think about it this way: like if they go underwater or they go into the volcano, like what if there's a base? Like what if the Earth is a base for them and they live inside the Earth?
Man, what if they have like a special like cloak or something that protects them from being melted or drowning, or what if they have gills, or like I said, it's never ending. What if they just adapt to everything? What if there's like aliens or all those specific ones are like, all right, I'm in this planet, it's like this. I'm gonna go in the water, and they take out gills. Or they're like, I need to fly, and they'll take out wings. You think like, man, that's pretty crazy, dude.
I think they go in the volcanoes and under the water because there has to be bases down there. Like they have to have bases because I don't think they just go in there for no reason.
Yeah, and I would think that's a pretty low key spot because I mean, even then if you see them, who's genuinely gonna be like, all right, let's go jump in the volcano and see what like if that's true. Like if you were to tell that to anybody, like, hey, if I tell you, hey Jesse, let's go to this volcano and check these aliens that I saw on barrels. Yeah, I'm pretty sure 9 out of the 10 people are gonna be like, this guy has something wrong with this guy.
Yeah, no, it's definitely impossible. You're gonna be, yeah, let's go check it. You're just gonna melt. And even if you could go under the water, like, what are you gonna do? Like, there's only so far that humanely possible before you get crushed.
Exactly. Now that you say that, maybe that's why they go in the water too, because they probably don't have that. Like I said, for all you know, maybe they have a cloak or a special force that prevents them from being crushed. Or I don't know if they're maybe in their aircraft. It has like the technologies that where it doesn't get crushed, or like the force. Maybe that's why they go all the way down there. Because like you said, realistically speaking, if they're all the way down there, and we physically can't go. And then it's kind of a side question where like how they said that we've only discovered like 8%, or I don't know how many of the whole like water or sea in the world?
Ah, well, then there you go. Definitely, we haven't discovered much. There has to be,
Don't quote me on that.
yeah, no, there definitely has to be bases down there. That's all I'm saying. Like, there has to be. Like I said, there's life out there, and if they go in there for a reason, they're doing it. And I'm pretty sure it's like the spaceship doesn't melt because like the special type of metals or whatever that they use. So that's pretty intense. Make it makes you think like, all right, what's in the earth itself, like it could be anything. Like I said, the UFOs or UAPs, they go in there for a reason. And even then, like Area 51, like I think it's closed down. Don't quote me on that. I'm not 100% sure. I mean, even if it's closed, I'm pretty sure they're still running experiments and things like that. But I do know that they say that they have actually captured aliens, and ran experiments on them. So I wouldn't be surprised if they actually do that because you know how it is. You know how.
Talking about abductions and all that, do you think that mm, people are taken because just random, or because they're like a chosen one, or like I said, they take them because, like I said, they've had contact before, or they're disguising themselves? And when it's like so many things that can like kind of makes you wonder. But me personally, I don't know, because sometimes when I see in the movies, 9 out of the 10 times they all look terrified. Like, I don't want to go there. I don't want to go there. So I don't know if that's they just do that to, like, for their own benefits, or there's like, for all you know, they're saving you. Like, you think that's, I don't know, because to me, they just kind of take you out of nowhere forcefully, because they don't even kind of like present themselves. I mean, I guess the movies that I've seen, it's always the people running, and they're either getting sucked in by like a light, or they're it's like the aliens come on. I'm like, hey, do you want to come in here? And just like, they're like, oh yeah, come through the stairs. No, it's always them being sucked in. Oh, or even that movie. I think you and I forgot who, when you were watching it, and about where the guy, they would have the horses in the desert, or that one spot, and they would have like people go, and then out of nowhere it like started sucking them, it started like taking all the people in the aircraft. I don't know, I don't remember the name, but that was like a movie, but I believe some aircraft was like taking them, and the guy would be on the horse. And then I think there was a scene too where there was a guy like recording, and he like crashed into the force, and then like the guy's like, I need my camera, but the thing sucked him, and he's like, oh, I need, remember, I don't know, you remember, but yeah. But like, besides, I kind of went off track. But do you think, like I said, and I guess to make it more easier, that the people that are taken are chosen ones, or is it just forcefully? And if they are taken for that reason, are they taken for something good or bad?
I mean, it might be that they might choose people randomly, or it might be that they choose people that have a certain ability. You never know. It could be either or. Um, but I do know that, I mean, people do come back and they have like some sort of marks on them. So for all you know, I mean, it could be like cattle, right? And they could just be like, okay, I'm gonna just choose you. I'm gonna choose you, and then we'll take you, we'll brand you, we'll mark you, and we'll do whatever you want to you.
So the movie was called Nope. Nope.
Uh,
Yeah, Nope. Nope. So that one, remember where like they're doing all that? But yeah, you were saying?
that's the movie with that guy Glenn from The Walking Dead, huh? I think.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And then I believe it was, I don't know if P and P or one of those guys directed it, or I don't know, but yeah, that movie, that movie.
Going piggybacking off, talking about actors. Have you heard about how James Franco's been acting? Like he's been acting like erratic, saying that he knows things about aliens or that he's seen aliens.
He recently put a video up like just a while ago or yesterday, like about an alien, but everybody was kind of like just laughing about it, like saying like this is some Pineapple Express stuff. But I don't know, like I didn't really like, to me when I watched the video, I didn't think too much about it. I kind of just was like, oh, this guy's just, he's doing his acting thing, like, and he's just, but I don't know. Do you think kind of something more than it? Then you're kind of saying, to me, I feel like he's just being James Franco and talking about like. But to me, I don't. I'm not saying it's a gimmick or something, but I think it's just just being how he always is.
So basically, he's just trying to stay relevant and stuff like that.
No, I mean not really relevant. I just think I don't know. I don't think he's. I don't know. I don't think it's that serious, or I guess he means for it, and I don't know. I could be wrong.
Because I mean, there has to be something going on with him, Because like obviously, the guy that he knows, I don't know if it's the director or what, but it's from another movie, Because they're like, oh, he's probably what's it called? What's that word I'm looking for? Well, promote something or promote a movie, but obviously there's no movie with UFOs that they're gonna release that he's in, unless he did film a movie and it's just nobody knows about it. But I have no idea. But that would be pretty crazy that he did see something, but obviously people don't believe him anymore, because everybody's like, oh, it's just James Franco being James Franco. So like we really don't know what's going on with him. I mean, maybe like in future updates we could probably keep you guys updated, and let you guys know. Because that is pretty interesting. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, because like I said, so as far as like I said, the abduction thing, I don't know. It is pretty crazy because even in some movies or shows, they say how they, that old thing where they would probe people or stuff like that or do things to them, and they would never be the same again. Or it makes you think like, is that the same person that they bring back, or is that just or they've done so much things to them, Or also like how, like I said, we were talking about aliens, or like from Alien versus Predator. Was it like, imagine if you were to see that, like, would you be more terrified of seeing that, or, and like I said, like one of those gray alienoid type of things? Obviously, the other one, I feel like I would be more terrified just the fact of how way more scary it looks, and I guess of how I mean, it has like a freaking mouth inside its mouth, But in that sense, do you think that, like, how can I say that there's like various types of different species of aliens? I guess in a sense, like I said, like the the alien like looking one with, like I said, it's the generic one, all gray, black eyes, fingers, like legs and all that. Or sometimes though, if you ever like looked at it in other shows, I don't know if you remember, what was it? Ah, man, that show that will come out at Adult Swim. Um, but I remember there was a alien, but he was like an insect, and he would talk right there, and it kind of made you think like, oh man, so like, are technically there's insect aliens too?
Nah, dude, if imagine if there's like Alien versus Predator, like we're cooked because their weaponry is just crazy, and not just that, but they're way stronger than us. Like from the movie, like obviously with the natural like UFOs or UAPs that we see now, like obviously, like I said, they do look a little delicate, but obviously, they have advanced weaponry and mind control for all I'm pretty sure they have mind control. Um, because like I said, we go back to the McPherson tape. Like I said, they hypnotized the little girl, or they did something to her so that she wouldn't freak out. Because she kept telling the parents, "Oh, it's gonna be fine. It's gonna be fine." So maybe because they're younger, they could hypnotize them, and maybe because you're older, they can't. I'm not sure how that works. Maybe because, like I said, she's innocent, like her mind is innocent, and maybe as a person, like a grown person, they can't really do that to you, because you're already older, and I guess you don't get as influenced as easy. And not just that, but what do you think? Oh, speaking of all this UFO stuff, what do you think about the Men in Black? Like, do you think they're humans, or they're humanoids, or what? Because from what I've seen, they depict them as not being humans. Like, they depict them as being like, I don't know, like 6 feet tall, or even more than 6 feet tall, and like they themselves are not human.
Wait, like the actual guys, like the ones that were the main characters?
No, 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 no. Like I'm talking about like the Men in Black, like the Men in Black that they talk about that show up in real life,
Oh, okay. They talk
not the
about the
movie.
movie, like Men in Black, like that too. Like even in that movie, that has so many different types of aliens. But man, I don't know, like the man, because it does sound like it. Like how they always do depict them being exaggeratingly tall. And them having some type of I guess specific maybe color to them, or even, I don't know, I guess descriptions to them.
Or for all they could be aliens too, disguised as people, or maybe a hybrid. It could be a hybrid, like maybe a cross of a human and an alien. Like you never know because, like I said, yeah, they're exceptionally tall, and kind of like I don't know if they're able to manipulate like CCTV or something like that. But no, it does make you question like who are they and where did they come from?
And it, well, talking about that, you notice how every time in movies or when they come in contact with them, the camera technology kind of freaks out or bugs out where it's static or doesn't show the image. It makes you kind of think of, man, what kind of force does that being possess, or how strong is it that it even doesn't let you know, like video cameras pick it up, you know? Because think about it that way, like you're just recording it and I guess it just doesn't, usually it says it shows that in the movies or shows or whenever you kind of look at it like, oh look, it's once where they're recording it and it's always that 240p quality and then it always does that effect where it looks even worse because they're trying to zoom in or whatever, but kind of insinuating that I guess the force or I don't know the power that it has, prevents it.
I'm pretty sure it's some sort of like force field, that or like a certain type of like not EMP, but something that definitely covers it around because like you said, with all these 4K cameras and all these 4K phones, nowadays like all the videos that you see of recorded this UAP, like it looks yeah, like and the quality looks really bad. But then it makes you wonder like, even until right now, like they mess with the quality itself. Like I do know that there is videos that are pretty clear, but you don't know anymore because of AI, like people use AI for everything.
Man, and it makes you wonder that even then, if they have the ability to do that, even right now with how technology has advanced, could you imagine of how 4K ones are, how good they are now? Because I'm pretty sure they're good. But if they're that strong, could you imagine if they have that ability where they even make that 4K camera look like a old camera from like the 19 somethings, you know?
Yeah, no, like I said, definitely is some sort of force field, something that interacts, or disrupts like the camera. Um, but I mean, in reality, we'll never know, but it's something I always thought about. Like, we're not here, we're not alone. We're not the only ones here because, there's been so many cases, pictures, videos, the government, Area 51. I'm pretty sure they have a lot of other different areas. I do know that a lot of different things happen in Arizona. So, and going back to like the Men in Black, like they actually what take care of everything, take care of evidence or go check and investigate. So, for a reason they show up, because I'm pretty sure if there wasn't nothing to cover up, they wouldn't show up. Like I think they're there for a reason as well, like even then in the movie Men in Black where they would go and people would see the aliens and they would use that little device to wipe their memory. So for all you know, same thing, real life.
Well, when with us talking about too of how like the locations that they kind of venture off to hide or do their thing, do you think that they stay away from the public eye because they're in a way scared of us or because they don't want to make their presence known yet, like fully? Or is it just kind of being like, all right, we're here just exploring and we're gonna not really mess with them and mind our own business and be in our way? Like, what do you kind of think of that? Like, do you think, like I said, that they're hiding from us because they're scared or they're hiding from us because they want to be, like ninjas or low key about it or like, to get as much information as they are? Like, are they spying on us? Are they here to,
Yeah, no, I mean, from what I could think about is that they're definitely looking at us for a reason. I mean, we could just be cattle to them, like I said, and then they could just pick us up, one by one and experiment on us just to see like what, I guess how our bodies are, our anatomy. I mean, same thing that we do to them, nah? The government grabs them and runs experiments on them and opens them up and tries to figure out how they work. So, I mean, I don't blame them for doing that to us as well, because we do that to them, they do that to us. So, in reality, you can't really say like who the bad guy is because, it goes both ways, you know? But yeah, no, I mean, I do know that there's videos of like, what's it called? What is it called? Autopsies?
autopsy?
Autopsies, that they do. I don't know if they're real or not, but there is videos.
Yeah, I was gonna tell you, do you think those are real or just straight up? Because obviously, with how AI is now, it wasn't like that before. It kind of makes you wonder more, or even then, it kind of thinks about it like, what if AI did exist before and someone just had it and they were using it? Like, kind of, we're gonna be like another. whole nother episode about AI and stuff, but it kind of makes you think, what if someone already had that and would just do stuff with it, like boom, boom, boom. But I don't know. Um, but with that, like I said, since we're talking about that, uh, you were saying how, since oh no, we were talking about how the autopsies, if they were real or not. Yeah, a lot of times when you look at the aliens that they were, doing the autopsies, they kind of all look the same. Like I said, a really big head, those huge black eyes, or sometimes kind of look glossy. And then, like I said, they were pretty tall, really skinny, lanky, kind of long legs. And I don't know if they were like webbed feet or not, but they didn't look like they were fingers or anything. And even their hands too. Um, Kind of like how another thing, another cartoon, kind of like how Roger looked from American Dad. Um, but yeah, dude, even like with Area 51, do you think with how things are nowadays, it's been like kind of more activity going on there, or are they kind of just like I said, do you think there's more activity now than before or no?
I mean, there has to be definitely, because like I said, there's still sightings. There's a bunch of sightings. There's a bunch of videos, YouTube videos of people recording them, and showing them. So there's definitely more sightings, probably because we record more and, people have their phones on themselves now more than before, because like before there was no cell phones. There was more like just if you have a video camera, you could record. So no, they're definitely there, there's definitely, you know, higher beings, stronger beings, and like you said, from what I remember, there's different types of aliens. I have seen pictures of different types of aliens. Some are taller, some are shorter, some I guess have different types of clothing, but it has to be like us. Like I mean, we're all humans, yes, but we have different features, so it has to be the same with them, I would assume. And then going back to the Men in Black, they are government agents and they are described as being tall. Like, that's makes you question, like, so why do you have to be tall to be to be a MIB? You have to be a certain height and they're pale, so do you have to be a certain height and pale at the same time? Or that's why it makes me think that they're genetically engineered humans or a hybrid, It could be a hybrid of a human and an alien, like I said.
Yeah, with also, dude, but talking about that, if you think right now at this second if there was an alien invasion, do you think the world would be ready for it? Like, are we cooked, or do you think we'll put up a fight, or what do you think? Like right now, let's say right now they just straight up say in the TV, right? All right, we're being overrun, or like we're gonna be abducted or like invaded by aliens.
I mean, I'm pretty sure with all the technology and everything, like we could possibly fight back depending on what type of aliens. Cause what was that movie called? With those like I think there were aliens as well or some sort of creature where they they would hear and they would run around and kill people.
Um, Not whispers. I don't remember what were they wouldn't be able to make noise or they would hear them, right?
Yeah, that one.
I don't speak or don't. I don't remember. It was something like, yeah, I don't know what you're talking. I believe there was two.
Yeah, there was too.
Yeah, where I think it was the mom and the kids, no, or something like that. And then, yeah, 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 yeah. I remember that one.
Like if it's those type, they were definitely cooked. Like yeah, there was a way to kill them. I think they would make like some sort of like what hypersonic noise, or they would have like a type of like siren that it would make them like open up their inside, like from their mouth, and then that's how they would attack the inside of their mouth and kill them. I think.
Yeah. I mean, even disregarding the fact of those specific aliens, so you would still say that we wouldn't we're pretty much have less of a chance of surviving, right? Because in my opinion, man, I feel like, yeah, I mean, how would we be able to combat with whatever? Like, this is just one take or one example. Imagine there's an alien with like telekinetic powers, and that's just one. Like, how are we gonna combat with that? Like, if we were to shoot it or do anything, and it just stops the bullets or the bombs or whatever, like, or we could just like hold them and throw them back or anything. Like, man, could you imagine? Like that's it. Or if think about it, if we're like the people in the world are able to construct like a nuclear bomb, you imagine the bombs that they have. Like imagine if the bombs can take out like the world, and they could probably take out like planets or something.
Yeah, no, like I said, I'm pretty sure we could defend ourselves for a while, but then if all goes, if everything fails, I'm pretty sure they'll just like bust out the nukes and the whole world's just gonna blow up.
Yeah, and I guess too, maybe because I mean, me growing up, and like I said, when I watched the movies, I guess I wasn't really too scared of them. I mean, if I really to see one, I would be pretty fascinated but shook at the same time. I think I wasn't too scared of them though, because if you think about it, there was a lot of shows even then, or like cartoons were about aliens. Remember, I was very like I love Invader Zim, and growing up like seeing that like a green alien and like be disguised as a kid, so that's why it kind of made me wonder like, do they just have like a little suit on? Just like Gurr, he would pretend to be the dog or whatever, and just put the suit on. So it's like, damn, are aliens that advanced that they like have human suits, like or something? Like, could you imagine if you got your hands on like? I mean, that'd be pretty. That sounds pretty scary, right? And but like, imagine if there was a suit that you could put on and you look exactly like the person, and they wouldn't be able to tell it was fake. Like, man, all right, I'm gonna be you today. Just zip it up and I go in it, but. Uh,
Oh, the movie's called The Quiet Place,
Oh, yeah, 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 The Quiet Place, yep, yep.
where I think in the first one is like the family, and then the little brother gets killed because he has like a little fire truck or a little plane, and they like kill him. Like that's crazy. And then I think in the second movie, I think the dad. No, I don't know if it's the first movie and he sacrifices himself, or the second movie where he sacrifices himself in the beginning, and I think the mom's actually pregnant and she gives birth.
Oh, I think and the guy dies all crazy, right, I think?
I think he sacrificed the dad. I think he sacrifices
Yeah,
himself.
I think I can't like I said, don't remember, but yeah, I think where yeah, he kinda dies all pretty crazy at the scene. I think I could be wrong.
Yeah, no, if it's those, then we're definitely like, well, obviously we know how to defeat him now because of the movie, but if we didn't how they didn't, then yeah, no, we wouldn't stand a chance because like there's no way of fighting them or anything like that. But if you guys have any stories or anything like that, feel free to share with us as well. Like any encounters or anything you guys recorded, that'd be pretty cool to share. Like I said, me and my brother did see that when we were younger. We saw them in the sky. I honestly wish I would have kept that tape, but even if I hadn't, how would I play it here? I wouldn't know how to because it was like an old camera with these little cassette tapes that they were like maybe like this big. So I don't even know how I would play it. And even then, I don't even have them anymore. So that does suck. Um, but yeah, no, like I said, if you guys have any stories or any videos or anything like that, feel free to share with us or any topic you guys want us to touch or talk about. Just let us know.
Yeah, it doesn't necessarily have to pertain to what we were talking about today. It could be about anything, whether it be something paranormal or like I said, a real person situation. If you feel comfortable having everybody being able to see it then put it in the comment section. But if you want to be more private, you could just, send us a message here on our Instagram and we'll check it. And like I said, we'll definitely go through them and read them. And, for future videos, we'll definitely post them on there and, give credit to the person who sent them to us. But as always, guys, we really do appreciate you taking time out of your day to come hang out with me and my brother and hear our rants or whatever we have to say. But like I said, really appreciate everything and anything you want to say, dude.
Yeah. Thank you guys for tuning in. Like, subscribe, share. We're here. Thank you for listening to our podcast, and we're starting to loosen up a little bit. Just get used to this whole thing. Just let us know if like I said, if you guys want to share anything, any stories, and we'll read your comments and all that. And thank you guys again for tuning into the Midnight Safe Room. You guys stay safe out there.
A red glow crawls across the wall. You hear